Jake Miller first noticed her 3 days ago at the space station market. She stood out like a blue flame among gray stones. Her skin had a soft purple shimmer that changed color when she moved. Her eyes were larger than any human's, and they were completely black except for tiny silver stars that seemed to float in them. She was beautiful in a way that made his chest tight. But she was also following him. The first time Jake saw her, he was buying food supplies for his next cargo run. The market was crowded with humans and aliens from different worlds. Vendors shouted prices and customers argued over deals. But through all the noise and movement, Jake felt someone watching him. When he turned around there, she was standing by a fruit stand 30 feet away. Their eyes met for 1 second before she looked away. Jake told himself it meant nothing. The station had thousands of people passing through every day. Maybe she was just another traveler. He paid for his supplies and left. But 2 hours later, when Jake was checking his ship's engines in the repair bay, she was there again. This time, she stood near the entrance pretending to read a digital board about departure times. Her long silver hair caught the light and made her easy to spot. Jake watched her from the corner of his eye. She never looked at the board. She was watching him work. That night, Jake ate dinner at his favorite small restaurant on level 5. The place served real Earth food, not the synthetic stuff most places sold. Jake was halfway through his meal when she walked in. She sat 4 tables away and ordered something but never touched it. Every time Jake glanced over, she was looking somewhere else, but he could feel her attention on him like heat from a fire. Theron. Second day was worse. Jake woke up early and went to the gym. 20 minutes later, she arrived and used a machine in the corner. When Jake went to the library to kill time before his meeting with a client, she appeared 10 minutes later with a book she never opened. When he stopped to watch ships launch from the observation deck, she stood 50 feet away looking at the same view. Jake started changing his routine to test if she was really following him. He took different routes through the station. He ate at different times. He visited shops he had never been to before. But no matter what he did, she appeared within minutes, always at a distance, never approaching, just watching. By the 3rd day, Jake was getting nervous. He had dealt with pirates and angry clients and broken ship parts in deep space. But being stalked by a beautiful alien woman was something new. He didn't know if she was dangerous or what she wanted. He thought about reporting her to station security, but what would he say? That someone was looking at him too much. They would laugh. Jake decided to set a trap. He went to the lower levels of the station where few people traveled. The corridors down there were older and darker. Some led to abandoned sections that hadn't been used in years. If she followed him there, it would prove she was tracking him on purpose. Jake walked slowly through the dim hallways. His footsteps echoed off the metal walls. At first, he heard nothing behind him. Maybe he had been wrong. Maybe she wasn't following him after all. Then he heard it. Soft footsteps trying to match his pace. When he stopped, they stopped. When he started walking, they started again. Jake's heart beat faster. He turned a corner and pressed himself against the wall. The footsteps got closer, closer. Then she walked past him and Jake stepped out behind her. "Why are you following me?" he said. She spun around so fast her silver hair whipped through the air. For the first time, Jake saw surprise on her face. But it lasted only a second before she composed herself. "I am not following you," she said. Her voice sounded like music and wind mixed together. It was the most beautiful voice Jake had ever heard. "Yes, you are," Jake said. 3 days now, everywhere I go you show up. Who are you and what do you want?" She studied him with those strange black eyes full of stars. Up close, Jake could see that her skin wasn't just purple. It had patterns that shifted and moved like oil on water. She was tall, maybe 6 feet, and moved with a grace that seemed almost like floating. "My name is Lyra," she finally said. "And you are right. I have been following you." Why? Lyra looked around the empty corridor as if checking for other people. "Because I need your help, Jake Miller." Hearing her say his name sent a chill down Jake's spine. "How do you know who I am?" "I know many things about you," Lyra said. "You fly the cargo ship called Wanderer. You transport goods between Earth colonies. You have been doing this job for 5 years. You have no family. Your parents died 3 years ago in a shuttle accident. You live alone. You have few friends. Jake took a step back. Have you been reading my files? I had to know what kind of person you are, Lyra said. I could not approach just anyone. I needed someone specific. Specific for what? Jake crossed his arms. What could you possibly need from a cargo pilot? Lyra reached into her flowing robe. Jake tensed, ready to run or fight, but she pulled out only a small device that looked like a crystal cube. It pulsed with soft blue light. My people are dying, she said simply, and you might be the only one who can save them. Jake stared at the pulsing crystal cube in Lyra's hand. The soft blue light made shadows dance on the metal walls around them. He didn't know what to say. How could a cargo pilot save an alien species? I think you have the wrong person, Jake said. I'm not a doctor or scientist. I just move boxes between planets. I have the right person, Lyra said with certainty. Please let me explain, but not here. The corridors have monitoring systems. Come with me to a safer place. Jake hesitated. Following a stranger who had been stalking him seemed like a bad idea, but something in her voice and the desperation in her star-filled eyes made him curious. Against his better judgment, he nodded. Lyra led him deeper into the old section of the station. They passed broken lights and sealed doors until they reached a small maintenance room. Inside were some old tools and dusty equipment. Lyra closed the door and activated the crystal cube. It projected a bubble of light around them. Sound barrier, she explained. Now we can talk freely. Start from the beginning, Jake said. Who are your people and what's killing them? Lyra sat on an old crate and Jake could see how tired she looked. My people are called the Zilari. We come from a system in what you call the Andromeda Galaxy. We have lived peacefully for 10,000 years. We are healers and scientists. We do not make war. We help other species when we can. She touched the cube and it showed images of a beautiful world. Cities that looked like they were grown from crystal and light. Purple-skinned people like Lyra working in gardens and laboratories. Children playing in parks under 3 moons. 6 months ago, a plague started, Lyra continued. It began slowly. A few people got sick with weakness and fever. Our healers thought it was minor, but then it spread. Now half our population is infected. 3 billion people. The sick lose strength day by day until they cannot move. Then they die. The images changed. Jake saw hospital rooms packed with patients, streets empty except for medical workers in protective suits, mass graves being dug outside the beautiful cities. We tried everything, Lyra said, and her musical voice cracked with emotion. Every medicine we know. Help from other species. Nothing worked. The plague keeps spreading. In 3 months, everyone will be dead. That's terrible, Jake said. But I still don't understand what this has to do with me. Lyra stood and walked closer to him. 1 month ago, something strange happened. A human trader visited our world. His name was Peter. He received news that his brother had died. Peter cried in our botanical garden. His tears fell on some infected plants we were studying. The next day, those plants were healthy. Jake raised his eyebrows. His tears cured them. We did not believe it at first, Lyra said. We tested his remaining tears and found a protein that destroys the plague. We asked Peter for more tears, but he could not cry on command. He tried, but forced tears did not work. Only tears from real emotion contained the healing protein. So, you need someone who can cry, Jake said, understanding dawning on him. Not just anyone, Lyra said. We watched Peter and learned something important. The protein only appears when humans feel deep, genuine emotion. Not all humans can access these feelings easily. Many have become hard and cold, especially those who live in space. They suppress their emotions to survive the loneliness. She pulled up another image on the cube. It was Jake from a week ago. He was in his ship looking at an old photo of his parents. Tears ran down his face as he talked to the photo, telling them about his day. You invaded my privacy, Jake said angrily. I am sorry, Lyra said, and she looked truly ashamed. We were desperate. I was sent to find humans who still feel deeply. I searched for 2 months. I watched dozens of humans. Most never showed real emotion. Then I found you. The cube showed more images. Jake helping a lost child find her parents. Jake laughing with an old maintenance worker who told him jokes. Jake crying while watching an old Earth movie in his quarters. You still have your heart, Lyra said. You have not let space make you cold. You feel joy and sadness and love and loss. Your tears could save my people. Jake rubbed his face. This was insane. Even if this is true, I can't just cry on command. Emotions don't work that way. I know, Lyra said. We would never force you. We learned that forced tears are useless. What we need is for you to come with us. Live on our world for 1 month. Experience our culture. Meet our people. Share our stories. Natural emotions will come. When you cry from real feelings, we collect the tears. Our scientists calculated that tears from 1 month of genuine emotions could create enough cure for everyone. You want me to leave my job and go to another galaxy to cry for strangers? Yes, Lyra said simply. I know how it sounds. But you would be saving 3 billion lives. We would give you anything you want as payment. Technology, gold, a new ship, whatever you wish. Jake walked to the small window and looked out at the stars. He thought about his empty life. No family, few friends. Just endless cargo runs between colonies. Would anyone even notice if he disappeared for a month? Why should I trust you? He asked. This could all be a lie. Lyra moved beside him. Because you know I'm telling the truth. You can feel it. The same instincts that keep your heart open despite the coldness of space are telling you this is real. She was right. Jake did feel it. Something deep in his gut said she was being honest. It was crazy, but it was true. Jake stood in silence for a long moment. The weight of 3 billion lives pressed on his shoulders. He thought about all the times he had felt useless hauling cargo through empty space. Now an entire species needed him specifically, him and his human tears. Show me your ship, Jake said finally. If I'm going to trust you, I need to see more proof. Lyra's face brightened with hope. She deactivated the sound barrier and led him through the station. They took service elevators and back corridors to avoid crowds. Jake noticed how other aliens stared at Lyra as they passed. Her purple skin and silver hair marked her as something exotic even among diverse species. The alien docking bay was on the far side of the station. Different ships in strange shapes filled the massive space. Some looked like giant insects. Others resembled floating crystals. Lyra stopped at a ship that took Jake's breath away. It didn't look built. It looked grown. The hull curved like a living thing with surfaces that seemed to breathe. The metal had veins of light running through it like blood vessels. When Lyra touched the entrance, the ship recognized her and opened like a flower blooming. This is impossible, Jake said as they entered. Ships aren't alive. Zilari ships are part biological, Lyra explained. They grow with us. They feel with us. This one has been with me since I was small. Inside was even stranger. The walls gave off a soft golden glow. The air smelled like rain on Earth and flowers Jake couldn't name. Everything curved and flowed, with no sharp edges. Seats molded themselves to fit whoever sat in them. The floor felt warm under his feet. Lyra led him to what looked like a command center. She waved her hand and the walls became transparent. Jake could see the docking bay outside, but also star maps and data streams. She pulled up medical files and research documents, all translated into English for him. Look, she said. These are our studies on human tears. Jake read through the data, the molecular structure of the protein, test results on infected tissue, recovery rates after exposure. It all looked real and scientific, even if he didn't understand half the terms. This shows Peter's tears. Lyra pointed to a chart. See how the protein levels are lower when he tried to force crying. But when he cried from real grief about his brother, the levels peaked. And you think my tears would be the same? We tested samples, Lyra admitted. From your ship. Tears you left on a cloth after watching that movie. I am sorry for taking them without asking, but we had to know. She showed him another chart. Jake's protein levels were even higher than Peter's. Your emotional resonance is stronger, Lyra said. Perhaps because you have known loss but have not let it make you bitter. You still choose to feel. Jake sat in one of the morphing chairs. It adjusted to support him perfectly. If I do this, what happens exactly? Lyra sat across from him. We go to my world. The journey takes 3 days through hyperspace. You live with us for 1 month. We do not lock you up or force anything. You have freedom to explore and experience our culture. When natural emotions come and you cry, we collect the tears with respect and gratitude. What would make me cry there? Many things, perhaps, Lyra said gently. Joy at seeing our children play despite sickness around them. Sadness at families saying goodbye to dying loved ones. Wonder at our art and music. Grief at what we are losing. Connection with people who welcome you as a savior. Emotions come when hearts are open. Jake thought about the last 3 years since his parents died. He had cried alone in his ship many times. Those tears had meant nothing falling into recycled air. But on Lyra's world, they would mean everything. What about my cargo runs? Jake asked. My clients expect deliveries. We can send messages saying you had ship trouble, Lyra suggested. Or family emergency. 1 month delay will not ruin your business. She was right. Jake had no contracts that couldn't wait. No one who would really miss him. The realization stung but also freed him. When would we leave? Jake asked. As soon as you are ready. Lyra leaned forward. Every day matters. 20,000 died yesterday. 20,000 more will die today, but no pressure on your decision. Jake almost laughed at that. No pressure except billions of lives hanging in the balance. He stood and paced the strange living ship. The walls seemed to pulse with sympathy. Jake wondered if the ship could sense his turmoil. He stopped at a window showing the space station. His normal life was out there, safe, predictable, empty. I need to get some things from my ship, Jake said. Clothes and personal items. Lyra jumped up. You will come. I'll come, Jake confirmed, but I have conditions. Anything. First, I want a way to communicate with the station. To let people know I'm safe, Jake said. Second, if I feel threatened or unsafe at any point, you bring me back immediately. Third, my tears are given freely. No tricks or manipulations to make me emotional. I agree to everything, Lyra said quickly. We are not monsters, Jake Miller. We are just desperate people trying to survive. Jake could see tears forming in her star-filled eyes. Alien tears that couldn't save her own people. The irony wasn't lost on him. They went to Jake's ship together. He packed clothes and grabbed the photo of his parents, his movie collection, his father's watch, small things that connected him to feelings. Lyra helped carry the bags, looking happier than he had seen her. Why do you trust that I can do this? Jake asked as they loaded his things onto her ship. Lyra smiled. Because when I told you about my dying people, your eyes filled with tears you did not let fall. You already care. That is why you are perfect. Jake realized she was right. He did care. He cared about these strangers dying in another galaxy. Maybe that made him weak, or maybe it made him exactly what the universe needed. Jake stood at the window of Lyra's ship as the space station grew smaller behind them. His old life was disappearing into the dark. The cargo ship Wanderer sat in the docking bay waiting for him to return in a month. He wondered if it would feel strange to go back to hauling boxes after saving a species. Entering hyperspace in 60 seconds, Lyra announced from the pilot seat. Her hands danced over controls that looked more like art than technology. The ship responded to her touch like a pet recognizing its master. Jake strapped himself into the co-pilot chair. The seat shaped itself around him, providing perfect support. Will I feel it? Hyperspace feels different for everyone, Lyra said. Some humans get sick, others say it feels like floating. A few feel nothing at all. The stars outside began to stretch into lines. Colors Jake had never seen before painted space in impossible patterns. Then everything shifted and they were somewhere else. Not normal space, but a place between places, where distance meant nothing. Jake's stomach flipped once, then settled. He felt light, like gravity had forgotten about him. That wasn't so bad. Good, Lyra said, relaxing. We have 3 days of travel. Time for you to learn about my people before we arrive. She stood and led him deeper into the ship. They passed through rooms that served different purposes. A kitchen that grew food from the walls. A bathroom where water flowed up instead of down. A meditation chamber filled with floating lights. This will be your room, Lyra said, opening a door. The space was bigger than Jake expected. A bed that looked like a cloud hovering off the floor. Windows showing the swirling colors of hyperspace. Shelves that appeared from the walls when he looked at them. The ship learns what you need, Lyra explained. Think about wanting a table. Jake pictured a table and one rose from the floor. It was exactly the height he preferred. That's incredible. Zilari technology is based on thought and emotion, Lyra said. We do not just use tools, we connect with them. Jake put his bags on the new table. The photo of his parents looked strange in the alien room, but it made him feel grounded. Tell me about your family, Lyra's face softened. My mother is a healer. She has been working without rest since the plague began. My father is a teacher, but now he helps care for the sick. My younger brother Kyril was infected 2 weeks ago. Is he okay? Alive but weak. Lyra sat on the floating bed. He is why I volunteered for this mission. I had to do something. I could not just watch him fade. Jake understood that feeling. The helplessness of watching someone you love suffer. When my parents got sick, there was nothing I could do. The shuttle accident left them in comas for 3 days before they died. I sat by their beds and talked to them, but they never woke up. That is why you talked to their photo, Lyra said gently. You are finishing conversations. Jake nodded, unable to speak past the lump in his throat. He hadn't told anyone about talking to the photo. It seemed too weird. But Lyra understood. They spent the first day sharing stories. Lyra told him about growing up on a world where everyone felt each other's emotions. How Zilari children learned to shield their feelings to give others privacy. How they sang together in harmony that created actual light. How they had never had a war because feeling your enemy's pain made violence impossible. Jake told her about Earth. About humans who often felt alone, even in crowds. About how people could be cruel because they didn't feel what others felt. But also about human resilience and creativity born from that isolation. How humans made art from pain and found strength in struggle. We are opposite in many ways, Lyra said. Yet here we are, you helping us. The second day, Lyra taught Jake about the plague. She showed him videos of how it started. First victims were miners who found a strange artifact deep underground. The sickness spread from them to their families, then their cities. By the time the Zilari understood the danger, it was everywhere. The artifact was ancient, Lyra explained. Older than our civilization. We think it was a weapon left by a dead species. It targets our empathic neurons. The more we feel, the faster it spreads. So your greatest strength became your weakness. Yes. Lyra pulled up medical data. We tried to stop feeling to slow the plague, but Zilari, who cut off emotions completely, went insane. We are not meant to be alone in our heads. Jake watched video of early patients. Their purple skin turned gray. Their star-filled eyes dimmed. They moved like empty shells until they couldn't move at all. How did you discover human tears could help? Pure accident, Lyra said. Peter the trader was visiting our botanical lab. He was looking at our dying plants when he got the message about his brother. He broke down crying. His tears fell on 3 infected plants. The next morning, those plants were healthy. From 3 plants to saving billions. Jake shook his head. Sometimes the universe is strange. On the 3rd day, Jake felt nervous. They would arrive tomorrow. Lyra sensed his mood and gave him space. Jake spent hours at the window watching hyperspace flow past. He thought about what was coming. A planet. of empaths who would feel everything he felt, billions of sick people needing his tears. He pulled out his father's watch. His dad had worn it every day until the accident. The metal was worn smooth from years of use. Jake wound it and listened to it tick. Such a simple human sound in an alien ship between dimensions. "We're approaching exit point," Lyra called. Jake joined her in the command center. She looked nervous too. "Are you ready for this?" "No," Jake said honestly, "but I'm doing it anyway." Lyra smiled. "That may be the most human thing you have said. Doing something important even when you are not ready." The ship began to slow. The colors of hyperspace faded. Normal stars appeared. And there in the distance was a purple and gold planet with 3 moons. Jake woke to soft chiming sounds. For a moment he forgot where he was. Then he saw the curved walls of Lyra's ship and remembered. They had been traveling through hyperspace for 2 days. Today they would reach the Zalari homeworld. He found Lyra in the command center staring at streams of data. Her face looked worried. "What's wrong?" Jake asked. "Updates from home," she said without looking away. "The plague is spreading faster. The southern continent reported 500,000 new cases yesterday." Jake felt his chest tighten. All those people getting sick while he traveled through space. "How long until we arrive?" 3 hours. Lyra touched the wall and the view changed, to show hyperspace streaming past like rivers of light. "Are you ready?" Jake wasn't sure anyone could be ready for this. "Tell me more about your people." "What should I expect?" Lyra turned to him. "We are empaths. We feel emotions more strongly than humans. When one of us is sad, others nearby feel echoes of that sadness. When one is joyful, that joy spreads. This is why the plague has been so devastating. We feel the suffering of millions." "That sounds overwhelming." "It can be," Lyra admitted. "But it also means we understand each other deeply. There is less loneliness among Zalari, less isolation. We are always connected." Jake thought about his years of solitude in space. "What will they feel from me?" "Your emotions will be like bright flames to them," Lyra said. "Humans feel differently than we do, more individually, more intensely in some ways. They will be drawn to you, but I will make sure you have space when you need it." The ship chimed again. Lyra's expression darkened as she read new data. "The capital city medical center is failing," she said quietly. "They do not have enough healthy workers to care for the sick." Jake watched tears slide down her purple cheeks. Without thinking, he reached out and touched her shoulder. She looked at him with surprise. "We'll help them," Jake said. "We'll make enough cure for everyone." "How can you be so certain?" Jake didn't know how to explain that he already felt tears building behind his eyes. The thought of all that suffering made his heart ache. His parents had raised him to care about others, even strangers. Even aliens in distant galaxies. The last hour of travel passed slowly. Lyra taught Jake basic words in her language. Hello was Solani, and thank you was Gratara. The words sounded like singing when she spoke them. Finally, the ship dropped out of hyperspace. Jake gasped at what he saw. 3 moons hung in space around a purple and gold planet. The world looked like a jewel against black velvet. Cities were visible from orbit, glowing with soft light. But as they descended, Jake saw the truth. Many of those lights were funeral pyres. Massive camps surrounded cities filled with the sick. Transport ships sat empty on landing pads because there weren't enough healthy pilots. They landed in the capital city, Livana. As the ship opened, Jake smelled something sweet and sad in the air. Hundreds of Zalari waited outside. They all had purple skin in different shades. Their star-filled eyes locked onto Jake. An elderly Zalari stepped forward. His skin was deep violet and thin with age. "You are the human Jake Miller," he said in accented English. "I am Vorin, leader of what remains of our council. We thank you for coming." Jake could feel their desperation hitting him in waves. These people were drowning and they saw him as a life raft. The pressure was immense. "I want to help," Jake said, "but I need to understand. Show me everything." Vorin led them through the city. Jake saw beauty and horror mixed together. The buildings were art made solid with curves and spirals that pleased the eye. Gardens grew on every surface. But the streets were nearly empty. Those who walked outside moved slowly, weakly. They entered a hospital. Jake had thought he was prepared. He wasn't. Thousands of sick Zilari filled every room and hallway. They lay on beds and floors. Children no bigger than human 5-year-olds wheezed with each breath. Parents held their sick babies and sang soft songs. Medical workers moved between patients doing what little they could. Jake felt tears spilling down his face before he could stop them. A Zilari nurse saw him crying and quickly held up a collection vial. Jake's tears fell into it, and she sealed it, running toward a laboratory. "I'm sorry," Jake said, wiping his face. "I didn't mean to cry yet." "Do not apologize for compassion," Boren said. "Your tears from seeing our suffering may be the most powerful, pure empathy from one species to another." They watched through a window as scientists analyzed Jake's tears. Within minutes, they had synthesized the protein and created a small batch of cure. A doctor injected it into a young Zilari girl who had been near death. Jake held his breath. Everyone waited. Then the girl's breathing steadied. Color returned to her purple skin. She opened her star-filled eyes and whispered, "Solani." The room erupted in celebration. Zilari hugged each other and sang. Several started crying purple tears of joy. Jake felt their happiness wash over him like warm water. "It works." Lyra grabbed Jake's hands. "Your tears work even better than we hoped." Jake looked at the thousands still sick. One small vial had saved one girl. He needed to cry oceans to save them all. The weight of it should have scared him. Instead, it made him more determined. "Where do I stay?" Jake asked. "We have work to do." Boren smiled, the first real smile Jake had seen from him. "You will stay with Lyra's family. They volunteered to host you. And Jake Miller." "Yes. You have given us something we had lost. Hope." As they left the hospital, Jake saw Zilari pressing against windows to see him. Some held up their sick children. Others sang what sounded like prayers. They all looked at him like he was a miracle. Jake wasn't a miracle. He was just a lonely cargo pilot who never forgot how to feel. But if his tears could save these people, then he would cry every day for a month. He would cry until their world was healed.